There's an interesting theory floating around regarding Alien Romulus and its connection to the original Alien, which has been discussed for some time but has really intensified since the release of the teaser trailer. Specifically, some snippets that preceded the trailer on the official Alien Anthology Instagram account, which did not actually end up in the final teaser trailer. I have read some spoilers about the movie. They're a little hard to avoid sometimes, but this is something separate from what I've read. Still, I'd like to offer a warning that this potentially could be a spoiler, though I'm quite honestly not sure if it is one, or if it's just purely speculation. But if you are concerned about spoilers, you have been warned. As far back as I can tell, it began with a tweet back in February from an account I've discussed here before, vScooper, which gave a brief description of some of the film's effects. The xenomorph in the new Alien Romulus is mostly a practical suit, sometimes CGI complemented, but it's said that it looks astonishingly good and better than any time before, with very menacing and visually damaged elements. This description led to some speculation of what this damage could be from. Perhaps this alien was drifting in space, a little burned, and with a harpoon stuck in its stomach. One of the omitted teaser shots appears to be a large group of presumably Weyland-Yutani scientists and something covered in some sort of a tarp. If the possible connection isn't obvious by now, the real question we're dealing with is, does the original alien, Big Chap, return for Alien Romulus? Was Weyland-Yutani somehow able to find it drifting in space, horribly injured? Did they bring this specimen to Renaissance Space Station, which will be the main setting of the film? Many strongly believe this is the case. Many claim it is, in fact, mentioned in test audience screening accounts and is definitely part of the plot, but I haven't actually seen so for myself. It's kind of like the telephone game where if enough people say it's part of the definitive spoilers, you kind of begin to believe it. For now, I'm still leaning toward theory, but maybe a very probable one. The story of Alien Romulus, as we know, is set between the events of Alien and Aliens, so there's a lot of room for imagination. Maybe Big Chap has indeed returned for Alien Romulus. Although I guess that presents a little bit of a problem if you want to evaluate exactly just how damaged the alien really was at the end of the original film. Based strictly on the original film, I think it's viable. You see the alien blasted out of the shuttle exhaust and left floating away in space. If you look to something like Alien the Illustrated Story, which to this day I know many consider to be an unimpeachable companion to the film, then it becomes a different story. It looks as if the blast incinerates the alien into nothingness. This is also true of the final shooting script of the film, from David Giler and Walter Hill, based on the original draft by Dan O'Bannon and Ronald Shusett. It's described as the following. The burned mass of the alien drifts slowly away, writhing, smoking, tumbling into the distance, pieces dropping off. The shape bloats, then bursts, spray of particles in all directions, then smoldering fragments dwindle into infinity. This is also true of the novelization from Alan Dean Foster, naturally based on the screenplay. Here's what it says in the book. A writhing, smoking shape was tumbling slowly away from the ship. Bits and pieces of charred flesh fell from it. Then the incredibly tough organism finally succumbed to the laws of differential pressure, and the alien exploded, swelling up and then bursting, sending particles of itself in all directions. Based on these descriptions, I think it would be fair to believe the alien that once haunted the Nostromo is most definitively dead and gone, and there would be nothing too much to retrieve. However, if we're not to discount the screenplay and tie-in publications, then we may also not be too fast to discount Ridley Scott's own revision of the alien creature and its abilities. Quite notably, on his commentary track for Alien Covenant, Scott mentioned that the alien can regenerate. Even the alien that fought against Daniels on the lander vehicle during the escape of Planet 4 apparently would not be entirely dead. Although it was crushed in the lander's claw, Scott has said, when it gets on the ground, will DNA back to parts and regrow. He's indestructible. If that's the case, then surely there's no problem with bringing Big Chap back, no matter how damaged he may have been at the end of Alien. It kind of tracks for me. This is purely speculation on my part, but after hearing Fede Alvarez, the writer and director of Romulus, speak in interviews about an idea he shared with Ridley Scott that seemed to pique his interest, I'm starting to think maybe that was his idea. Maybe he said, hey, what if the alien from the first film was out there, and they found it? And Scott, with the indestructibility of the alien in mind, was very receptive to that. If there's another problem to this concept, then it speaks to the nitpicky side in me. So you're telling me, within this decades-long period of time, the company couldn't find the Narcissus, they couldn't find a derelict ship with all the alien eggs, but they were able to find fragments of an alien creature floating around? Maybe a little bit of a stretch, but if I can argue against my own points for a moment, if we go by the novel Alien Out of the Shadows, which also takes place between Alien and Aliens, it's very clear that Ripley's shuttle was intentionally veered off course by Ash, who had uploaded his consciousness into the ship's computer. It was not a slow, accidental drift off the intended course. It was far off enough where no one would even think to look for her. I would also assume if the company were attempting to retrace the events, they'd be looking at the Nostromo's course. So, the remains of the alien would still be somewhat close to there, depending on when they went looking. As for the location of the derelict ship, well, that's something I've touched on in previous videos, and the long and short of it is this. 1. Most of the Nostromo's information was lost, including the coordinates of the crash site, and the only person alive with those coordinates was Ripley, who of course was MIA at the time. And 2. Building the Hadley's Hope colony on LV-426 was essentially part of the plan to ultimately find and investigate that site. Colony workers were encouraged to take on salvage missions on the side for some big bonus checks, and it seems always in the best interest of the company to have a blue-collar employee accidentally find a specimen they'd still end up owning, but wouldn't have to search out for it themselves. After a ship such as the Nostromo goes missing, it would likely be a standard practice to follow its course to see what may have happened, and finding the remains of Big Chap during that procedure maybe doesn't seem too far-fetched after all. Altogether, I think it is kind of a neat idea to bring the original alien back. For new movies, I know they'll always try for some connection to the original, try to harness that appeal. Try to get actors back, which is always tricky for the Alien movies since so many characters end up dying, and especially with the chronological follow-up to Alien, where the whole crew of the Nostromo is dead, and Ripley is off drifting in space for 57 years. So it's not like they could get Sigourney Weaver back to star in it. But with the utmost respect to Weaver, the biggest star of Alien was probably the alien itself. So to see that specific alien back would be kind of interesting. And again, if this is true, I think it will be presented in a way that's not too overbearing. Alvarez has said in interviews that there are things people who have never seen an Alien movie before will appreciate as a standalone in Romulus, and the fans who are very familiar with the series are sure to recognize the significance of what's presented. So you can imagine the scenario of this movie where scientists find something out in space and bring it to their research station for the average viewer, but for the mega alien fan, the scenario is, holy shit, they found Big Chap. Once more, I have to stress that this is still a theory. Obviously, this information hasn't been officially revealed in any way, and spoiler reports from what I've seen still seem, honestly, a little iffy. As far as the damaged alien description goes, that part at least appears to be accurate. A closer look at the alien we saw in the teaser trailer reveals some damage. This could be something completely unrelated to the overall theory, or it could just be that the entire time we've been face-to-face with Big Chap again. But as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Would you be interested in seeing the original alien return? Do you think it's still more on the far-fetched side? If this is indeed 100% accurate and the case, do you think it would be beneficial to lean into this aspect for the next trailer? Comment below and let me know what you think. Thank you very much for watching today. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel to keep up with the latest videos. And my very special thanks today goes out to Brandon James, XenoshadowMorph, and XenoZip, Queen Tiers of the Patreon Hive. Thank you to Gregory Ford and John Griggs, the Hive's Praetorians. A very special thanks to Lady Anne in the Ellen Ripley Tier of Excellence. And thank you so much, Nicholas Butta. Thank you, Frank. These are the WEYLAND YUTANI executives. If you'd like to join the Hive and support the channel, check out my Patreon page for further information. In the meantime, you can follow me on social media. Follow @alien_theory on X, formerly Twitter. Follow @alientheoryyt on Facebook and Instagram for more. And until next time, this is Alien Theory, signing off.